We are right on the edge of a massive manufacturing revolution. So forget that old picture you have in your head of a noisy, greasy factory. Today, we're going to explore how they're literally transforming into these smart, self-aware ecosystems. This is the world of smart manufacturing.
So let's just start with a really cool idea. What if a factory could, well, heal itself? Imagine a production line that's so intelligent it doesn't just spot problems. It actually predicts them and then schedules its own repairs before anything has a chance to break down. Now, this isn't some sci-fi dream. It's the core promise of what's happening right now.
Okay, to really get where we're going, we first have to understand what we're leaving behind. So let's break down some of the biggest problems that have been plaguing traditional manufacturing for, well, forever. First up, there's this silent killer of profits: wasted energy. Seriously, think of it like leaving every single light on in your house 24/7. In old-school factories, machines are often just running at full blast, even when they're idle, just burning through electricity and, of course, a ton of money.
And then you've got the absolute nightmare scenario: a sudden breakdown. One machine fails, and boom, the domino effect can shut down the entire operation. We're talking about huge financial losses and delays that can totally mess up the whole supply chain.
And we can't forget about errors, both human and mechanical. Without a system that's constantly double-checking for mistakes, these tiny little slip-ups can snowball into enormous problems, which means wasted materials and products that just aren't up to snuff.
And the data? Well, it backs this up in a big way. Research, like the work from Syed Zadada and his team, reveals something pretty staggering. A massive portion of a machine's life is spent doing, well, nothing at all. All that idle time represents this huge, untapped potential for efficiency. It just goes to show you it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter.
So with all these problems on the table, how do we actually move forward? Well, the answer lies in a complete paradigm shift. It's time to say hello to the age of smart manufacturing.
At its core, smart manufacturing, you'll also hear it called Industry 4.0, is all about building a factory that can basically think for itself. It's a system that weaves together all these cool technologies like the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and big data to create a production environment that's not just automated, but truly intelligent.
And this right here, this really highlights the fundamental change in thinking. We're moving away from a reactive model, fixing things after they break, to a predictive one. And instead of these isolated manual tasks, we're building a connected, automated workflow. This isn't just some small upgrade, it's a complete reimagination of how manufacturing gets done.
But what's the engine that's really driving this whole transformation? Come on, let's break down the core technologies that are making the smart factory a reality.
It really all comes down to three game-changing tools. These three form the backbone of any smart factory: the Internet of Things, digital twins, and, of course, artificial intelligence.
So first, you've got the Internet of Things, or IoT. The best way to think about this is like it's the factory's nervous system. You have thousands of these tiny sensors placed on every machine, every conveyor belt, every little component, and they're constantly collecting and sending out data. We're talking temperature, vibration, output, energy use, everything. They're the eyes and ears of the whole operation.
Now, all of that data that's being collected feeds into our next incredibly powerful tool, the digital twin. Simply put, it's a perfect digital copy of the entire factory that lives in a computer. And in this virtual world, you can experiment with total freedom. You can test new ideas, push machines to their limits, simulate different scenarios, all without any risk to the real-world operation. It's pretty much the ultimate testing ground.
And this is where it all comes together so beautifully. Artificial intelligence takes all that incoming data and analyzes it. So instead of just reacting to an alarm when something goes wrong, the AI can spot these really subtle patterns that signal a problem is coming in the future. It's the difference between fixing a breakdown and preventing it from ever happening in the first place.
Okay, so a huge question always comes up whenever we talk about this level of automation. Where do people fit into all this? What does this mean for the actual factory worker?
Well, the key takeaway from all the research in this area is that the goal isn't replacement, it's all about collaboration. Smart tech is designed to handle the dull, the dangerous, and the repetitive work, which frees up human workers to focus on what we do best, critical thinking, creative problem solving, and strategic planning.
And what that means is that the skills needed on the factory floor are evolving. The focus is shifting away from pure manual labor to more high-level skills like data analysis, managing these complex automated systems,
and actually collaborating with the AI to make better, faster decisions.
But look, for that kind of collaboration to really work, there has to be trust. That's why fields like explainable AI, or XAI, are becoming so incredibly important. Research in this area shows that XAI is all about opening up the AI's black box, so that when the system recommends an action, the human operator actually understands why. That transparency is absolutely the key to building a real partnership between humans and machines.
So, what's standing in the way of this future? And more importantly, what's just over the horizon? Let's take a look at the challenges and the next evolution of smart manufacturing.
Making this transition, well, it's not exactly simple. As multiple studies point out, there are some pretty big hurdles. You've got the high upfront cost of all this new technology, the complexity of getting new systems to talk to old ones, challenges with getting enough high-quality data, and, of course, the huge need to train a workforce with these new advanced skills.
But the industry is not standing still, not by a long shot. The real pioneers are already looking beyond Industry 4.0 to whatever comes next. The emerging concept that's getting a lot of buzz is the software-defined factory, which many see as a key step towards something called Industry 5.0.
So what in the world is a software-defined factory? Well, according to researchers like Kim and his team, it's a system where the entire factory's functions, everything from the production line to resource management, are all controlled by one central software platform. This allows for almost instant changes. You need to switch from making one product to a completely different one? It's a software update, not a months-long physical retooling. This creates a level of flexibility and responsiveness that we've just never seen before.
And this all brings us to a final, really crucial question. As these lines between the physical world and the digital world keep blurring, what even is a factory, really? Is it a place of steel and gears, or is it a platform of code and data? I think the future is going to be forged right where those two worlds meet. Thanks for tuning in to this explainer.